then they'll be on to something. Their recent track record hasn't been the best.
Yeah, and that is a separate story, like you said.
Yeah. But yes, our very own Chris Paukert, our executive editor, was down in Texas, like you mentioned, Sean. Very hot, sweltering video shoot, but they got a video out of it and a lovely write-up on the vehicle. And right in the subhead of his story, he says, yes, it's real, and yes, it's spectacular. So it sounds like Ford has an absolutely blockbuster product on its hands, and certainly an excellent rival, if not a better vehicle than the Wrangler.
Yep, that is the big takeaway from it. And in Paukert's words, Ford has indeed built a better 4x4. And he is referencing the Jeep Wrangler. Those are fighting words. And
oh man,
but the evidence backs it up from what he's told us, what he has shared with the world in his words and in his video. I mean, this sounds just like a spectacular SUV for people who are craving an actual SUV these days, because we throw that term around synonymously with a crossover, unibody kind of stuff where, like, nope, this is body on frame, off-road, rugged, ready to hit the trail. We don't know how much of a Bronco's life will actually be on a trail. You'll probably see more of these on the freeway and crawling around. Yeah, exactly.
Be like 0.5% of the time.
Pavement. Yeah, I know. But you know what? That doesn't make it any less appealing, because this thing just oozes character, oozes charm. It looks great. And we're going to dive into more of what Paukert reported back here shortly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, I think he liked it so much he's actually ordered one for himself. So it will be interesting to see once that arrives, once he lives with it for a little bit longer, after the glow sort of wears off, from the new car test drive, if he still likes it as much as he did on the launch program. But it'll be very interesting to see. And I think the big advantage with the Bronco here, I mean, obviously Ford has done a lot of stuff to this vehicle, made a lot of clever touches from the removable top and the accessories and all of that. But perhaps the best advantage is the independent front suspension, which obviously the Wrangler doesn't have, as a solid front axle, live axle, which is perfect out on the trail, gives you wonderful articulation. But when you're driving the vehicle on pavement like 98.5% of the time, that's a liability, because the Wrangler, it ain't great to drive. It tends to wander around, especially if there's a crosswind and the steering is not good.
Right. That was a huge thing that we gathered from Paukert's review, was just how confident the Bronco was, not only on the trail where it exceeded expectations, but just driving it. I believe he said Ford basically was like, we want you to take it on this basically set of roads that you would take like a Mustang instead. And not that anyone expects the Bronco to carve through the roads like a Mustang, and it did not do that, but it was just so well behaved, compared to a Wrangler, like you said, which is, it gets a little loosey goosey, where this felt, perhaps a little bit more premium, according to our colleague.
But as I've said in my recent review of the Wrangler 4xe, that's the plug-in hybrid model, the Wrangler is both astonishing and appalling. It's astonishingly good for a vehicle with live axles, right? Like, that's Roman chariot level technology. And when you look at it through that lens, it is pretty good. I mean, it's the best driving Wrangler ever, unquestionably, hands down. But it feels like a tractor compared to like any other new like unibody crossover or something. It's just night and day. So it's both excellent and terrible.
But isn't there some sort of charm there too, Craig? You get in that and maybe you want to drive a tractor. Like, that's kind of cool. There's nothing else like it.
That's exactly true. Exactly true. It's got that character. And it's unique these days, because what other vehicles come with like a live front axle? I can think of maybe a Ford Super Duty truck or like a Ram Heavy Duty. Yeah. That's probably about it, right? I mean, is there anything else?
Yeah, nothing's jumping out at me. So yeah, very unique.
Yeah. But Bronco, super smooth ride. 2 powertrains are offered. You can get the 2.3 liter turbo 4 with 300 horsepower when you put premium fuel in the tank, or there's a 2.7 turbo V6, which is an awesome little engine that Ford uses in a variety of products, from like some Lincoln models and of course the F-150. And at least in the F-150 application, I think that may be the engine to get. That may be the best power plant they have in that truck, because despite being just 2.7 liters, it moves a full-size pickup truck with no trouble. It's amazing. So, Sean, I was going to ask.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, between those 2 engines, which would you get if you had to put your money down?
This is a really hard question to answer, because anybody who's followed Bronco since it was revealed knows that if you go for the more powerful 2.7 liter, you can only get the 10-speed automatic. If you go for the smaller turbo 4, you can get the 7-speed manual with that crawler gear, which is super cool.
Yes.
And I gotta say, I would probably take the turbo 4 just to get that manual. I think it'd be such a cool experience in a modern day car, and kind of have, that raw factor to it a little bit. Even though the 2.7 liter V6 is just, like you said, I think it's a peach. It's a great power plant.
Yeah. It's kudos to Ford for offering the manual, even though I have very low expectations for them selling any. I think people have, like, the manual versus automatic battle was fought and lost like decades ago. So,
yeah, probably like 15 years ago, probably.
Oh, at least even longer than that. Like, yeah, nobody buys manuals anymore unless it's a 911 or something. Then maybe there's a decent take rate. But even there, I imagine most people are going for the PDK.
Right. Right. But Craig, that's an interesting point, because Paukert points out that Ford kind of sweat the details on this, where like they didn't have to develop a new manual transmission for this Bronco. They could have easily just been like, it's 10-speed automatic only. They've worked with that transmission for a long time. They got it down pat. I mean, they could have just left it at that, but I think it really shows that the Bronco project in general, with the team that worked on it, it was a passion project, and I think they really wanted to get it right. And so far, us two still need to drive it and spend some time with it. But coming from a guy who ended up ordering one because he liked it so much, I mean, that's a giant vote of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're watching the show live right now, let us know in the comments section, what version of the Bronco would you get? Would you go with the 2-door model? Would you grab the 4-door? Would you get the manual transmission? What color would you go for? Leave a comment. I'd be interested to see, what people are thinking. Because I would probably get the 2-door model. I think it looks a little better, more manageably sized. And I think I would go pretty basic, lower end trim level, and I would probably also go with the manual, just because why not? What else can you get with a manual these days?
Right. Yeah. That's basically how I would go too, Craig. I would pick up a manual. I'd keep it a fairly lower spec trim. I even think the base models look really cool with their standard wheels. You don't need anything flashy on this, in my opinion. I think the more basic wheel just kind of adds to this SUV's character, and it's just it looks like a boss. It looks really good.
Absolutely. Is that a steel wheel? Do we know? I don't remember off the top of my head if that's a base stamped steely.
You know what? Chat, if you know that, let us know, because I don't want to give the wrong answer. I want to say yes.
Yes.
But anyone in the chat, they can feel free to let us know about that. But yeah, speaking of that manual, Paukert reports back that it's got longer throws than you may imagine, and it's a springier clutch, which he said he thinks he would appreciate on the road, not off-road. The way Ford split this drive program up, they only let the 2.7 liter 10-speed automatic Broncos go on pavement, and those could also go off-road, but the Turbo 4 models with the manual transmissions were not allowed to go on the street. We don't know why, but that was their decision. So no driving impressions from the stick on the street, But he said a springier clutch, which he said should be a little bit more forgiving. And, if you are buying a car with a manual transmission these days, it's good to have a forgiving clutch. You definitely don't want to be pressing down on something that feels like you're doing a leg press at the gym, and all of a sudden you have a swole calf muscle from driving an hour or something like that in traffic. That's the worst. Because I've driven cars like that. I'm like, get me out of here. This is awful. But
right.
But perhaps that's part of why
at the opposite end of the spectrum.
One.
What are they hiding? Not letting people drive the sticks on the street, I wonder. It's a bit suspicious.
I don't know. You'd think if it could go off road, it could handle some smooth pavement, but who knows? That's far beyond my understanding, and I don't know if I want to know because it's probably something silly.
Yeah, right. So just glancing at the YouTube chat, we got a few answers to the question of the day. Eric Mercado says Turbo 4 with the manual. Excellent choice. Big Daddy Tommy at 50 says 2-door Black Diamond and a manual. So Black Diamond should be one of those packages that's available. Let me just pull it up on the Ford website because there's so many packages available. Black Diamond is one of the middle range models. Ricky Morales says 4-door with the 10-speed auto. Maybe he's a family man. Got to have the back seat and the easier access with the 4 doors. Thomas Nickerson 2.7 4-door red hardtop and Sasquatch package.
Oh yeah, I want the hardtop too. I want the hardtop. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely the hardtop, which they do sell with extra insulation or something, so it should be a little bit more refined on road, which is one of the things I read in a couple reviews. But you do get a little bit of wind noise in there, which is kind of expected for a vehicle that is shaped like a shipping container. It's pretty square.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Shouldn't be too surprised. I think your expectations should basically be at that level. And Paukert said driving it, there is that wind noise, but nothing where he felt like he needed to, shout or raise his voice at a passenger on the road. Yeah. So that's good, because that's also terrible if you have to scream to somebody sitting next to you because the wind's buffering on the freeway.
Right. Just going through the chat really quick again, John Reno says, I would go with Badlands plus the Sasquatch and luxury packages. Wants the full package. Bronco. Martin Yancey, 4-door Wild Track 10-speed auto. A lot more people going with the auto than I expected, but obviously if you live in a city where there's a lot of traffic, you probably don't want to have to deal with 3 pedals every day. Jacha says 16-inch painted silver wheels. Silver steel wheels on base Bronco. Okay, so that's good. We get our steel wheels, which I think look better than some of the alloy ones. Dylan Bisson says, I would get the Black Diamond in Area 51, which is the paint color with a manual transmission and Turbo 4. Area 51, yes, that is the color I would. If I didn't go with blue, I would definitely get Area 51 because that looks so cool. It's sort of a greenish gray. And very nice color.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Very good.
There's a lot to be excited about here. You get standard 4-wheel drive and big truck fuel economy, apparently. Not great.
Yeah, absolutely. And the moral of this story is it appears Ford knocked it out of the park. Now we got to see if some Jeep fans are okay with switching teams, if they even want to drive it. And that will be decided on the sales charts when the Bronco really starts getting into dealerships and people start taking delivery of these. So it remains to be seen. Be seen.
They're literally just getting into customers' hands, finally.
Yes. Yep.
So,
absolutely. But Craig, we got more.
Yes, sir.
We got way more.
What's up?
We have way more. It's something else that goes in the mud. It's the Chevy Silverado ZR2. This thing I feel like has been rumored for like 10 years. And now Chevy has teased it. And it's coming. It's going to be an off-road, full-size pickup truck. It should kind of fall, like a F-150 Tremor or the Ram Rebel kind of thing. Maybe Raptor. We'll have to see what GM's doing with it. Sounds like there's a V8 underneath the hood. So that's cool. But
Yeah.
finally, GM's going to play in this full-size off-road pickup truck space. It's like, knock, knock, where have you been?
They're leaving money on the table, right? They have the
Yeah.
Trail Boss model, which is, it gets you some off-road stuff, but it's not certainly not a Raptor competitor. Let's be honest.
No.
But yeah, they obviously be interesting to see them extend the ZR2 package to the bigger Silverado now. What do you think this will be, Sean? Is this going to be a Raptor competitor or something less than that? It's pretty capable on the Colorado, but
yeah, from what I understand and know just from years ago, this should be more like a Raptor competitor. That could have changed over time. I don't know. Don't take me as a final word. We got to wait and see. But I think it's going to be something closer to Raptor, especially if what sounds like a V8 is a V8.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would agree, because as good as the EcoBoost V6 is, they pull like freight trains, lots of low-end torque, but they don't have the sound. They do not. You can't beat a naturally aspirated V8.
Yeah, they don't sound nearly as cool as the truck is. But on the flip side of that, definitely not a V8. It's the Volvo Concept Recharge.
Yeah,
and
which is another all-electric car.
Yes, another electric car, and yes, shocking. And Volvo wants to go all electric by 2030. And just my first glance at this, I like it because it has this like tall wagon profile, but multiple people here, including you and myself and some other people on the staff, were like, it looks unfinished. Like there's something missing from it. And I know it's a concept car, but it still looks like it didn't bake long enough or something. Like you got runny cookies or something.
That's exactly, yes, 100%. Cool proportions to this thing. I love some of the design elements, but what you just said, Sean, it doesn't look finished. And I can't put my finger on why. What is missing?
Yeah.
It needs something, and I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either, because like if I looked at it just from the rear, I'm like, all right, cool. That looks like a good concept car. If I look at it from there, I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out. If it's just perhaps the style lines are so simple that it looks unfinished. I don't know. But certainly not a bad looking thing. If that's what Volvo wants to put people in the future, by all means, that looks like an even taller Volvo wagon, and I'm cool with that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So this was unveiled a couple days ago, and it previews future Volvos, as the brand, of course, is looking to go full electric, which it wants to do by 2030. I say good luck to that, but anything is possible. This vehicle was designed to be electric from the beginning, and but the styling is a little bit awkward, as we said. One element that I love is the suicide doors. So those back doors open, they're hinged at the rear. So they sort of open in the middle when you open both doors, which is a very cool retro touch. But we'll have to see if this vehicle ever makes it into production. What do you think, Sean? Is this going to be the next XC90 or what?
I kind of think so. They're kind of hinting that that's the direction it's going. So I think so. But
yeah,
don't flip that electric dial, because there's another EV story that happened this week. It's the Honda Prologue, not the Prelude. I wish it was the Prelude. It's the Prologue. But this, unfortunately, we don't have any photos or videos, but it's still a big deal. This is going to be Honda's first, one of their first purpose-built electric SUVs. It's actually going to be coming with help from General Motors. It's going to be using the Ultium battery platform and technology. And this is on Honda's push to go all electric, no plug-in hybrids, no regular hybrids by 2040, Craig.
Mm-hmm. That sounds very familiar. What other automakers are doing that? Only maybe all of them.
I know, but should be interesting. Honda and GM shacking up to make this SUV, and It'll be interesting to see more of it, but Honda isn't going to lean on GM entirely. They have an architecture for future EVs, uncreatively named the E architecture. Come on, that's so boring. But that's coming later this decade. We should see some electric vehicles on the E architecture and not GM's platform.
Yeah. It's interesting too. Like Honda and GM have partnered in the past. If I remember correctly, it was the Saturn Vue. For a few years, they offered it with Honda's 3.5 liter V6. Why they did that, I have no idea, but it's pretty sweet because Honda's V6 is excellent. And now Honda is going to be sharing, borrowing GM's Ultium technology, which GM, as we covered in last week's show, is actually sharing with a company called Wabtec, which makes locomotives. So their Ultium tech is going to be going in trains, which is pretty neat. So maybe GM is spreading the love around, and if its technology is good enough, maybe everybody will be using it. We'll have to wait and see.
That's what GM wants.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I think that's about the end of the road for this week's show. Very quick. We talked about Bronco up top. If you missed that, we talked about the Bronco for a good 15 minutes or so. Check that out. Of course, if you need more Bronco content, head on over to our website, theroadshow.com. We've got the full written review from our editor, Chris Paukert, there. Check that out. Also, if you are on YouTube, make sure you check out Chris's first drive video, which is excellent. Give that a watch. It should satiate all of your Bronco cravings. But I think that'll just about do it for this week's show. Sean, I thank you as always.
Oh, always a pleasure to be here. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And go ahead and let us know in the comments. Do you like this format a little bit better? What do you want to see from this show? We love chatting with you guys, and we want to hear from you. So let us know. Did you like when we chatted a little bit longer? I don't know. You let us know, because we can't read your minds.
Indeed. Yeah. Typically, the show runs a little bit longer. This week, we're experimenting, tightening things up a little bit. If you want us to yammer for longer, let us know in the chat, to Sean's point, and we'll see what we can do to address that going forward. But Sean, thank you so much for your time. And of course, we've got to thank Evan Miller. He is our video producer extraordinaire. He's the man that helps make this show possible. Evan, thank you very much for your assistance. Are you going to put up a shot of the dog this week?
Oh, wow.
There it is.
That guy's always everywhere.
He's itinerant, to say the least. So I was expecting another dog this week, or a houseplant or something, but we get a lovely movie clip. And of course, wrapping things up, we've got to thank you, our loyal viewers. Thank you for watching Roadshow News Recap as we dissect and discuss the biggest automotive stories of the past week. And you can join us for the live broadcast nearly every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Roadshow YouTube channel, or on Facebook, or even on Twitch. And with that, I think we're just about done here. So you all have a great weekend. And of course, if you're in America, happy 4th of July. We'll talk to you soon.